What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Live Healthy Stocks, back with another video today, taking a look at BLNK, Blink Charging. So we'll take a look at kind of how the stock's been doing, what exactly it is that the company does, some articles around electric vehicles and their growth potential in the future, and come to the stock and how the stock's been trading to get an idea of whether or not I think it's a good buy right now. So if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I try to do videos on stocks and different opportunities that I see and whether or not I think they're a buy. So I'd really appreciate each and every one of you guys' support. And comment down below if you are in Blink or what your thoughts on Blink are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So we'll get right into it. So going to the chart, what I have here is the kind of daily chart pulled up, and as we could see, going back, actually let's take a look at the year-to-date chart. We're talking about at $1.25 pre-COVID, and then we kind of saw it taking off, and then it stalled around the $10 mark, and then November has been absolutely insane in terms of the growth, and we'll take a look at why that is, and then with that, now it's trading in the 23s after setting a high in the mid 30s. So the high of 34. Now let's take a look at what exactly it is that they do. So they are a charging company. They design, manufacture, own, and operate EV charging stations. So if think about it as a gas station, except for people who own electric cars, they can charge their electric cars kind of on the go, and that's sort of that's what the company does, right? They've got charging stations. You can go on their website, find a station near you, go over there, charge your car up. They've got different products. I think some of them are they have home charging stations. They've got different kind of options, and they're creating a network of charging stations. So if you go to a rest stop, for example, it might have this charging station, but that's essentially what they're doing, which is a really great market to be in right now, because electric vehicle trends, this is an article published by Deloitte Insights, they're only going to go up in the near future, right? Electric vehicle sales are taking off. We've got Tesla, kind of taking the lead on that, causing other car companies, right, that have traditionally maybe not been involved in electric cars to kind of take that up, right? We've got Chinese electric car companies like NIO, Congdi, XPEV, right? We've got a bunch of them coming up, and a lot of the big names also, like Audi, Chevy, GM, they're all kind of going in that direction as well. So in the future, right, we should see an increase in the number of electric cars that are sold. If we go here, the sales were 2 million in 2019, which was 2.5% of all new car sales in the past year, as we see by this line. But if we go down, what we'll see is they're expecting a 29% compounded annual growth yearly over the next 10 years. So they're saying that 2.5 million in 2020 to 11 million in 2025, and then 31 million in 2030. So in 10 years, we should see a more than 10x increase in the number of car sales, right? And we're talking about sales. So 31 million sold in 2030, a little less than that sold in 2029, and so on and so forth, right? We're talking per year. So the number of cars kind of in circulation, if you will, is only going to go up, and that number is going to compound way faster than the sales number as those cars kind of go up. And then this other article kind of mentions the same thing. Estimated 3.2 million in 2019. They're saying 26.95, so 27 million units by 2030, and these guys are saying 31. So even if we take in the middle and go 29 million units per year, they are expected to take, not a ton of the market share of new cars sold, but they'll be around, let's see, a little bit higher than 25%, like 27%, yeah, 27% of car sales. So that right there is great potential for the cars, right? Or for the company Blink. So that, now let's take a look at what happened with Blink stock, why it sort of skyrocketed in November. So the shares were up 225%, as we saw, right, went from $10 all the way to the mid 30s before kind of coming down in the 20s. The reason for that is their charging revenue was up a whopping 84% from the same period in 2019. So 84% year over year growth, kind of typical, right? Because they're a new company, they're starting up, they're seeing a lot of growth right now. That 84% is probably not going to continue every single quarter, every single year, right? But it's something that is a great number to kind of see. Revenue for all of 2019 was $2.8 million, and they've already generated 3.8 in the first kind of 3 quarters. So they've really surpassed that number of last year. And I personally think that if they continue to have the competitive advantage and they continue to put themselves out there and they continue to take, a large part of the sector, which I know there's a lot of other, companies doing the same thing. There's ChargePoint, there's a lot of other ones, right? But there's a lot of gas stations out there as well, right? You got Chevron, Exxon, Mobil, we got Costco gas, right? Like there's so many gas stations. That doesn't necessarily mean that any of those individual gas stations can't have a decent amount of the market share. And I'm kind of saying the same thing for the electric car market. Now I know that, a lot of people might be kind of hesitant at that comparison, but the numbers are definitely there. The number of sales are definitely increasing. The argument is that, oh, I can charge at home. True, but if you're going on a longer drive, or if you don't have the capability of charging at home, right? So if you live in an apartment complex, maybe you're going on a trip somewhere, then I think, that, charging your car on the go is something that a lot of people would take advantage of. So Blink Charging, going back to the company, added 668 charging stations in Q3 alone. And they acquired a company called Yugo Charging on November 24th, adding 44 new stations to its portfolio. Its net loss in Q3 was $3.9 million. That's one thing that I did want to highlight, right? As with a lot of startups, right? Whether you take, a company like Tesla, you take Amazon, you take all these great companies that are doing great things now, they typically start with a loss for a decent amount of time as they're going through the growing phase, right? So we saw that they added 668 charging stations alone. That comes at a pretty steep cost, and they're looking at sort of the long play, right? Adding charging stations, adding charging stations, building that infrastructure, getting people hooked on their product, and then they can sort of see that profitability, hopefully. So right now, the only thing that's sort of worrisome is how fast some of these EV stocks and some of these, Blink Charging stock, for example, has gone up in such a short amount of time. That is the only thing that sort of is giving me a little bit of hesitation on whether or not the stock is a good buy. From a stock analysis perspective, which we'll do next, I think there's definitely some valid points on why this stock is a good buy, and we'll take a look at that. So let's go to that right now. So as we see here, right, I mean, we're talking 11.13, a stock being at, in the high 9s, $10, going all the way into the, 30, setting a high of 34.67, and then making a lower high every day from that point on, right? So from 11.23, every single trading day, they've made a lower high until 2 days ago, where they made a higher high, and then we made a lower high again. Another thing to look at is the stock had, kind of been above its 8 EMA for a while, and then on 11/30th bounced off of the 8 EMA, but then the next day broke down and kind of touched that 21 EMA. The next day finding the 8 EMA as resistance, and then the day after that sort of finding that 8 EMA as support. The low of this past Friday was $21.80. The 8 EMA was $23.40, right? So sort of finding support there and closing above the 8 EMA. That's something that I'm closely watching right now on the stock, on whether or not it can continue to hold this EMA. As we can see, it was up nicely on Friday. It was up 5% in just a day. And I'm waiting for the stock to maybe settle down just a little bit, and kind of hold that 8 EMA. If it can hold the 8 EMA, and kind of stay above it, or dip to the 21 again and find support in the 21 again, I'm looking to get into the company, maybe buy some shares to hold long term, and kind of see if this EV play really works out, if they can get the growth that they are hoping for, if they can become profitable, and I can see a good return on my money. But I'm not going in kind of all in. I am planning on kind of staggering my share purchase in Blink, for the sole reason that this run up that it's had is still huge. Did we see the entire sell-off happen, right? Is there more selling off to come? If I go all in and it runs up, great. But if it goes down, then I'm kind of all in at a much higher sort of average price. So yeah, what I'm watching is that EMA, whether or not it can hold. If it does hold, then I'm looking to sort of start my position, or if it dips, I'll be looking to see where it can find support. And you know, if that's the 21 EMA and I see the bounce and I see some confirmation that it's headed back up, that's sort of where I'll start my position and see, you know, if we can prove this sort of EV trend, and by allowing myself to build my position slowly, what I'm doing is kind of taking care of, you know, the stock going up this quick, this fast. If it is a bubble and it starts coming down, you know, I'm not all in and I can add to my position. But if it does take off, and you know, if I buy in tomorrow or 5 days from now with a bounce, right, and I think it's going to go up and it starts going up, great. I got confirmation. I can, you know, buy a little more, as we see on pullbacks, as the stock, you know, goes up and has a pullback and profit taking. I can sort of add to my position there. So that's all I had for you guys. Hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, drop a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Hope you guys all had an amazing weekend and have an amazing start to your trading week tomorrow. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.